All right, what's going on, boys? Avatarmanz here, and I'm doing a replay analysis for my friend SNL. So he sent me 3 replays that I'm going to go over today, and he's like champ 1, champ 3-ish. He said he was hit GC recently, but these replays are back from earlier in the year. This one's actually from like 2 months ago. So these are a little outdated compared to when he sent me these, but we're still going to take a look at these. Better late than never, I think. So anyways, let's get back to the beginning of the replay. All right, so he's playing in rank 3s with a team, and somehow there's a kickoff goal right in the beginning. Some guy didn't go for it, whatever. However, I noticed that in this second kickoff, you still double commit with your teammate. It's not the end of the world since you beat him, but it's always better to have that communication and figure out who's going on kickoffs and kind of have a better kickoff strategy. But then on top of that, you took the mid boost here and then immediately jumped for the ball when that guy was already on the wall but didn't even hit it. So you're too far away from the ball to do anything from here. So you really shouldn't have even jumped. You should have just grabbed that 100 right here, then wait for Softy to make his touch on the wall, and ideally he's going to hit that towards you on the sidewall anyways, because that's where his car is facing. So had you just waited after he touches that there, you could have taken that in for a shot or a pass or hitting that off the backboard, whatever. But instead you wasted your position and your teammates unfortunately double committed. Ideally Blanco had like a higher rank, or had he been a little bit more ready for that. Now think about this. They have the entire field to themselves, the orange team. So if Blanco was a little bit better there, that would have definitely been a goal against you guys. But even when you rotate across for whatever reason, you didn't grab the 100 boost, and you go to turn on this ball and then immediately hand it back to the orange team, where your whole teammates are already right there on the other side of the field, where they're not ready for a challenge yet. And you also have still only 12 boosts to recover. So you're still out of the play here. And in this entire sequence, you actually have no idea where your third teammate is. So Dave has been pushing on this ball, but you went left, then right, then left again. Whereas this could have been much, much worse, because this entire sequence, you have no idea where your teammate is, your third teammate, Croissant. So you see that he's back. So it's not a bad idea for you to go for this. But maybe try to position yourself a little bit more forward where Dave can see you so that he can pass it, or where you can be ready for a play. So that way Croissant here can actually push up on the left field side if Dave gets beat here. And you guys can have a little bit better of a triangle of positioning. So anyways. So maybe use your camera even if Dave gets beat there. Maybe try to use your camera, because right here I definitely would have not gone for that. Maybe let your teammate go for that instead. But somehow the orange team just doesn't have that much pressure right now, so it's not that terrible. I'm glad you didn't I'm glad you didn't flip into that challenge. I like how you're inching near the play, getting ready to position yourself there. It's not a bad thing to flip here because your teammate was back, but it might have been better had you turned and fake challenged, like pump fake it, like turn only like a little bit and then turn back towards the net in case you do need to make that save. Because again, if Blanco was a little bit better here, he would have air rolled, he would have driven a little bit more to the right side towards the midfield, and then air rolled, and he could have taken a much better shot on the net here. But again, the orange team doesn't have a whole lot of pressure. And that was actually a really good touch by you here to get it back midfield while also beating the defenders. Unfortunately, your teammate didn't have a very good shot, but it is nice of you to challenge here on the backfield when you need to, recognizing that you still have boost to challenge. I find it a bit weird that you flipped, though, right here. You didn't actually need to do anything. Had you slowed down, had you just stopped right here, just stop and wait for the ball to hit the bounce on the sidewall, you could have actually taken a bounce shot, like a half volley off of the wall, had you waited for that. Or you could have caught it if you were a little bit quicker. This touch here is actually a little bit questionable because you see your teammate coming up and you don't know where he wants to hit it. If he wants to hit it, maybe, the defender, the third defender back, actually wants to come and challenge this. Well, now you blocked off. Now you're technically blocking Dave from his only path, if he can't hit at midfield. So it's better to just turn and stay off of the ball. Like I said, the orange team doesn't have very good pressure right now, so they don't really make a whole lot of use out of this. But, again, in addition to almost blocking your teammate, you actually run into him, and you took off ball cam when you needed it most. So from this point on, you have no idea if a defender is actually going to take a shot or not, or what. So you should have just kept ball cam on this whole time. So that way you knew, because you have 60 boost right now, you knew if you kept ball cam on, you could have used your 60 boost and probably gotten an attempt at a save at the very least. But because you took off ball cam, you didn't even have that opportunity. Not a bad kickoff. Took the mid boost. It's nice of you to recognize that you don't need to full panic into that ball there because you do have space. Not the best touch there. So trying to follow this and stay midfield is not a bad idea, just in case, because you're applying pressure. Nobody else on your team is there, so going for this is not that bad. But going for that touch is not great because, Dave, you saw him in the midfield already, so he should ideally, if you had let this bounce, the orange team has let their net be completely open for a second. So, again, you're basically blocking your teammates from possibly their only pathing. Also not great is, again, Croissant. You have no idea where he's been. You haven't even seen him for like half this match because you don't know. Again, you cut rotation left and then right again and going for this ball when you didn't really need to. Had you just let Croissant come in, you could have actually had a better play there. But because you keep going left and right and trying to stay in front, you're not letting your teammates come in and make the plays that they want or need. So this defensive back post rotation is awful. So instead of rotating in the midfield, grabbing that boost is not a bad idea. But again, you should let your teammates come up front. So ideally what you should have done is maybe grab that boost pad, but turn to exactly where Croissant is right now. Just go exactly to where he is. This is a good position to be in. And you should have let him. See, he's got 72 boost. You should have let him. He's not that much farther away from the ball than you are. Or at least to where he can follow up this next hit where Softly just hit it to. But instead, again, you cut rotation. And you're forced to make a play across your own net. So, fortunately, like I said, the orange team is not very good at creating pressure. That was initially a very good first touch here. Use of a single jump. I might have actually almost double jumped here instead to kind of have that little bit extra height to kind of stay with the ball. But you didn't even need to air roll here. So I'm actually going to play this back. I forget. I'm not very good at the controls with keyboard and mouse. Or with controller, sorry. But if I slow this down to 0.5% or half speed here, you can see that your nose is already facing the ball. So right here, all you need to do is just tilt your stick forwards and a little bit to the left. And you can actually air drag this all the way across your net. And Blanco is so far back that if you air drag this past Rolf, you'll actually be able to catch this and maintain possession with like 30 to 40 boost, depending on how much you need to use. But instead, you tried to flick it out and didn't really do anything. And now you left your teammates back because you needed that 100 boost. Again, your defensive rotation is awful. You saw your teammate was a net. You should let him push out. If you know that your teammates are not going to push out as much, it's not a bad idea to kind of take this position and grab it by the balls and be like, yo, I'm actually going to stay forward because your teammate didn't push out. So it's actually not really a bad thing. But ideally, in a better scenario, you would have let him, you would have rotated here back to net and let Croissant come up. Again, you're kind of blocking the only pathing that Croissant might have. Again, we don't know where the third orange guy is. So if he's on our right side, off screen, Croissant might only be able to hit this ball where you're at right now, back to the right side or our left side. So it's not a bad idea to kind of just stay out of this play and trust that Croissant has this ball. And again, you kind of bump him there or get in the way of that play. Again, you have no idea where the third teammate is. So staying behind him in this scenario is the best position, because if he gets beat here, you can follow this ball up on the left side. You should basically be at the left mid boost right now, or possibly right where you are, just left, right behind him. Because if he gets beat, this ball could go up the wall, and you have 66 boost to do like a half flip and drop back if he gets beat. But then that forces your teammate, your third teammate, to make sure that he knows that Dave can push up for a pass. But instead, you don't know where you're supposed to go, so Dave kind of gets bumped there. And again, you're kind of forcing your other teammates to have bad positioning as well because of this. Not a bad idea to just keep hovering here, because you don't know who's going to hit the ball. All right, not a bad idea to hover there. Mostly your hovering has been kind of back and forth, and it hasn't been that great, but that wasn't actually that bad. Again, you guys don't have any communication. Don't have any communication on who's going to go for the kickoff. And even from this position, it's not bad. So you grab the 100 boost. You should be front flipping basically to that boost, voice crack, that boost right in front of you. That way you are midfield. Basically, you should be midfield at like the half court line right now. So that way if Dave hits it, he shouldn't have to hit this all the way across the field for you. At a higher rank, Blanco and Rolf would be able to intercept that pass that's coming along. So you should be a little bit closer to your teammates here in case they do hit this. Because imagine if Dave did hit that down and towards the midfield, Blanco and Rolf would be able to intercept that and basically have an open net. So you're too far away from the play there. But it's not a bad idea to rotate here where you did. That was fine enough. It's not a bad idea to recognize that when you're going to beat there, you don't actually need to challenge. But you should maybe call. If you have comms, I don't know. You should call and let your teammate go for that. I think you were trying to catch that ball. Not a bad idea that you missed it. You kept ball cam on, which was fine. However, the second you don't hit that ball, you actually shouldn't be in this play anymore. So you should be turning left. So you actually turned towards the back wall here. I'm going to play this by half speed here again. The second you don't have this ball, you should turn the other way towards this way here on this side of the field. Instead, you turn the other way, and now you're forcing yourself to be in the same spot. So now imagine from your teammate's perspective, Dave is kind of pressured because he doesn't know if you're going to go for this ball or what until you get out of that play. He doesn't know when he should go. And because of that, Croissant also kind of hesitates because the last thing he sees is you rotating back on this side of the field. So he's thinking that you're going to rotate back into this corner, whereas you should already be making your positioning and decision clear that you're going to go midfield and let them push up. But because of this, Dave, he might not have a lot of boost, but you should at least make your point and your kind of thinking with your car, your decision making a little bit more clear, so that way your teammates can make easier decisions as well. That rotation right there was good. I actually really like this. So you were pathing in a good spot there. So notice how you picked up that last boost pad. You picked up that one and that one if you did need it. So that was perfect. Really nice job there. And also you recognize that there was not an immediate shot right here, but there was most likely going to be a pass. Whoops. Had an issue with my game there for a second. You recognize that there was most likely going to be a pass to Blanco. So you had a little bit more time. So I love this positioning right here where you rotated onto the goal line. That was really great. So I like how you recognize that you had space. And that was actually not a bad aerial. Really good air drag, actually. Nicely done. That was a good use of space there to recognize that you didn't actually need to dribble that forwards or make a flick or whatever. It was perfect. Ideally, your teammates would not have gone up with you for that, or gone up with you with that ball, but it's not a bad idea. On kickoffs, that was not a good hit there, but on kickoffs, you guys should have a predetermined plan to say, hey, I'm going to hit this to the left side, I'm going to hit it to the right side, I'm going to try to kill it, so that if you cheat up, you'll have a better opportunity to get it from the orange team right away. But you guys sound like you don't have very much, or at least have a very good idea of what's going to happen on the kickoff. And the second you jump for this ball, you actually air rolled to the right, I believe. Yeah, so you should have stopped here, gone a little bit more behind the ball, but, you know, this kind of misread is not the worst thing in the world, but the hit that followed is worse because now you just cost yourself a goal. So I'm going to play that back real quick. The second you realize you don't have the hit, the best opportunity that once you jump is either to not hit it at all or to possibly just hit it back to your corner or to the side wall again. But that kind of mistake happens from time to time. Oof, that's not a good positioning either, actually. So you cheated up and you recognize that, hey, you know, I'm supposed to follow if I cheat up on the kickoff, that you recognize that you want to go for that ball. That's fine. However, Croissant lands with the kickoff, and your teammate, your Dave here, actually is already on the right side. So you should know that your teammate is on the right side. Now, he's got 100 boost, and he's got the next hit. Again, you're pressuring your teammate instead of making him have the opportunity that if he wants to hit this towards the net, because he's coming in pretty hot. So you being in this play already cuts off a quarter of his opportunities. Maybe he wants to actually take this and hit it to the left and kind of have a better standing of like shooting it from the midfield rather than from the side here. But you kind of make him hesitate there. You can see he kind of breaks, and he makes a bad decision of that. Rather than if he had his own space and he had the boost, he might have had a much better, clearer possible shot there. So that's not a bad touch, actually. What I would have done, though, is hit that and break. The second you know you're going to hit this to the wall, you could have probably braked here because you weren't going to hit it that great or hit it that hard. I also wouldn't have let this even hit the ground. I would have kept hitting this forwards. So I would have stopped right here and just continually drive at the ball right now. So your car is facing this way towards the wall. I would turn to the right slightly so that way your car is facing this way, more towards the ball. That way, as you're going for this, you can hit this basically right here on this side of the ball. Still hit it to the wall about right here, but you hit it forward so you still have forward progression and you still keep your boost. You have like 100 boost right here. So you could have had a much better opportunity there. But you actually had a good enough positioning there, I guess. Where, again, the orange team doesn't really have a whole lot of opportunities to kind of take the ball from you because they also have a bot on their team. But you also wasted this chance for an air drag or a shot, but those kind of mechanical mistakes will iron themselves out over time, and I'm sure they are possibly already have because this replay is pretty old. Oh my god. So not a bad thing to turn there in case your teammate gets beat. You took the mid boost, and again you decide to turn. Ideally, you probably should have rotated back a little bit more in hindsight, but it is really unfortunate that both your teammates missed that ball as well. So let's see I want to see what that looks like from your opponent or your teammate's perspective. So Dave, again, you're rotating here in his way. So from his perspective, he grabs the boost. Well, now Croissant is also rotating on the same side of the ball here. So, but it's far back enough that he knows that he should push up. But look at where you are from his eyes. He grabs the boost, sees that Croissant is in his way. And so once he realizes that Croissant is out of his way, now you're rotating on the same side of the ball. So at this point, he doesn't know if he should challenge or not. So he has to wait for you to make your decision, and that's why he gets beat there. Let's look at Croissant. Croissant hasn't been that aggressive this whole game. So he's pathing. That's fine. He doesn't know where Dave is, so his positioning isn't really that bad. He should really be going for something like this, though. He should ideally be going up towards the mid boost there and then making a challenge. But he rotates back. At least he makes his position kind of clear. But he expects this ball to go midfield because this is going straight. And I think Dave was the one turning to the left, so that's probably why he thought that ball was going there. But the point is that you kind of got in the way of Dave's positioning, and this whole play is basically effed because of that. I think from that one start of that one play. Almost done, guys. I know I'm talking a lot here. All right, that's not a very good hit. What I would have done is the second you realize both of your teammates are going to be beat by this ball is actually turn back away from the ball for a second to kind of get a better pathing on the ball. So let me see if I can do fly cam. So what you should have done here instead is actually turn this way towards the mid boost and then come at it from the side. So that way you can hit this ball right here, but sideways back to the corner or towards the midfield, the side wall there. That would have been a much better hit. But because of this pathing that you took, you stayed with the ball the whole time, and that forced you. See how close you are now? Whereas if you gave yourself space and rotated out away from the ball a little bit more, you could have hit that on the side away from these guys. But instead, because you stayed so close to the ball, you didn't have an opportunity. So that initial touch was not that bad. Oh my God. So you really didn't need to jump here. I get it that it was bouncing. I might have done something similar. But what I would have done instead here is, even though Dave is there, I would still jump and flip into this ball. Basically just 50-50 your teammate. I definitely would have done that in the worst case scenario. At the very least, if you flip into your teammate here, you still have boost to where you can push this ball to that side of the field, or that way. This side of the field over here. But because you didn't jump or do anything, the whole play got effed. So overall, I'd say the biggest mistakes made were bad rotations and bad positioning. Not being able to make a decisive position makes you not have decisive decision making. So if you have a much more decisive position, you'll be able to make decisions a lot easier on whether you should go for the ball or not. So it's all about that positioning. So there's a few mechanical errors, like something like that, or like the air drag where you could have had a much better clear. That stuff is not as bad as the positioning mistakes that were in this game for sure. Obviously, you guys are down, so I don't mind you going kind of for this ball and staying up front because you have already indicated that you really like staying up front for this ball, but up for the ball, and it's basically the end of the game. So the rest of the game is pretty much, like I said, rotating in a position where you can let your teammates breathe, but also being close enough that you'll be able to make better decisions in the future. So hopefully that doesn't sound too crazy, and I made some good points here in this video. I hope I didn't sound like I was trashing SNL too much. He did message me yesterday and say that he did reach GC, so I would imagine that a bunch of this stuff got ironed out already, and for all I know, or for all we know, maybe these teammates are just some randoms that he picked up for like a night or whatever for a few games. So I don't know what ranks they are. I'm guessing they're like low champ, if that. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Avatarmanz signing out.